Have you ever played a game that felt a little odd? A game where, even by its own standards, what you were seeing and doing seemed weird. Maybe that's because the journey you thought you were on, stop the bad guys, save the world, isn't the whole story. The following are a collection of gaming heroes that are either dead, dying, or somewhere in between. And these aren't spoilers because really it's all down to interpretation. Squall, Final Fantasy VIII. The meticulously researched theory suggests that Squall died after the events of Disc 1 in Final Fantasy VIII. I mean, the poor guy did take a massive ice shard to the chest after a failed assassination attempt on a sorceress, and let's be honest here, no amount of Phoenix Down is going to fix that. And yet, at the start of Disc 2, we find Squall waking up without a scratch, the hole in his chest miraculously healed, and never mentioned again. So, it would appear that everything that happens after Disc 1 is Squall's dying dream, a sort of what-if scenario invented by his subconscious as it eases him into oblivion. That's the theory anyway, and it certainly helps explain the flying military schools, the moon crying monsters, and the other oddities that crop up in a game that had felt relatively grounded, for a Final Fantasy game at least. This would also account for Squall's struggle to picture Rinona's face at the end. That's his brain shutting down, and the dream coming to an end. In other words, he's dead. Link, Majora's Mask. Yep, Majora's Mask is actually Link coping with the loss of his extremely annoying friend Navi. The game's 5 regions represent the 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. The citizens of Clock Town are in denial about the moon falling, Woodfall's Deku King is angry at the adorable monkey, and so on and so on. The game theorists, there's a link in the description, take this a step further by suggesting that the journey is actually about Link coping with his own death. Talk about your Shyamalanian twist. If we follow this theory, then Link's death at the beginning of Majora would mean that Termina, the region in which Majora takes place, is actually a limbo state that exists beyond Hyrule proper. Thinking about it, this would also account for the Doomsday moon crashing into the planet scenario that apparently no one in Hyrule knew anything about. Plus, the freaking place is called Termina. I mean, that's not even trying to be subtle. Travis touchdown, no more heroes. Travis is already dead. You see, during the first boss fight against Death Metal, Travis has this internal monologue running about his dream life: hot babes, fast cars, and so on and so on. However, it takes a dark turn when he suddenly starts babbling about finding an exit to paradise. He continues with "something deeper than my instincts is taunting me," and finally starts repeating "can't find the exit" over and over. Jump ahead to the end of the game during the final super secret boss fight with Henry, and Travis once again starts going off about finding that exit they call paradise. The thing is, Travis never found that exit, and he likely never will. There are some really interesting theories about what's going on behind the scenes in No More Heroes, but it seems that Travis Touchdown knows, to a limited degree at least, that he's caught in a loop. He kills the assassins, the game starts over. He kills the assassins, the game starts over. He'll never escape this personal purgatory, and will be forever running in circles. Alan Wake. So, Alan Wake is just an ordinary man thrust into an extraordinary situation. He travels to the sleepy town of Bright Falls with his wife Alice for some rest and relaxation, which will hopefully cure his writer's block. Tragically, not long into their stay, Alice falls into Cauldron Lake and presumably drowns. Alan dives in after her, blacks out in the process, and comes to sometime later after a minor car crash. But Alan Wake did not survive that car crash. Or, more likely, he drowned in the lake, and the events that followed were all a dying dream, an American nightmare if you will. He is tormented by Alice's death, which prevents him from resting in his grave, and invents a complex plot involving sentient darkness and the power of creativity. The more rational parts of his psyche, manifesting as, say, Dr. Hartman, try to dissuade Alan's madness, but the struggle endures. Plus, the whole game is all about heading towards the light, which should really tell you everything you need to know. Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic Generations. At the start of Sonic Generations, the blue blur is knocked unconscious after a mysterious figure that looks a bit like Death. Shut up, he's all dark and mysterious, that's enough. Anyway, Death suddenly appears and ruins his lame birthday party. Sonic then wakes up in a mysterious, monochrome world filled with fractured memories of his past. His friends, rivals, and enemies are all there, including younger versions of himself and Tails. At first, they think they're travelling through space and time. However, that is later revised to being stuck in this weird, white limbo. Ah, limbo you say? Let's recap. We have a creature that looks like the Reaper transporting Sonic to a limbo-like world where his life plays out before his eyes. You know when stuff like this happens? It's when someone's freaking dead. Maybe Sonic really did die at the beginning of Generations. Given the quality of his latter-day games, he might have been dead on the inside for years. Point being, the Reaper has finally caught up with him, and Generations is his last chance to relive the glory days and bid farewell to friend and foe alike. Of course, these could all just be brilliant theories, some of which are better argued than others. But as we said at the start, that all depends on how you look at the world. Now the big question is, are there any ones we missed? And I'm not talking about games where it's obvious you're playing as a dead person. Think outside the box and you might start seeing your favourite games in a new light. If you can think of any, let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more gaming news, reviews, previews and features right here on GamesRadar Plus.